Hello and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. We are back for a new week of news, breaking news, speculation, fan theories, our theories, your theories, and so much more. We have got, of course, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story playing in theaters near you, hopefully, this week. You can go check that out. We have got the big news that we now have our Hal Jordan for the DCU. That's going to be the focus of today's episode. We're also going to dive into some of your reviews for the episode 1 of The Penguin as we wait for episode 2 to release this upcoming Sunday. But we've got a lot of, different topics to get into, as we always do. Of course, the Hal Jordan one is the big one for the day. So to do that and so much more, of course, I've got with me John. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. That the suspense was real. It's just keeping me on the edge of my seat, my dude. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it's done. Horror directors, take note. I don't fucking know what I'm doing. I'm just being a silly Billy today.
All good. Well, let's get into what we are all here for, which is to talk about Green Lantern, the Lanterns show on HBO. It's found as Hal Jordan. It's going to be played by Kyle Chandler, who I wouldn't be wrong in saying is at best a solid C-list actor. Not quite the A-lister. And again, this is nothing against his acting ability or who he is as a person, right. But his ability to rise to the occasion and maybe even surpass what any of the other A-listers potentially that we had been talking about could have done. But it does kind of, make you wonder, like, what was that list about? Was that list even real? I mean, Josh Brolin did, decline the chance to take on this role, but were any of the other actors even in consideration? Was that how much truth was there? How much truth was there in the whole story that we did last week? Because we were like, it's a rumor supposedly that they're struggling to cast somebody in this role. Do you really think that everybody in that shortlist said no, and that's why Kyle Chandler is in the role? Or do you think that was like a false flag, a red herring, that it wasn't really, that list wasn't
maybe even a green herring? That's not how that works. Anyway, but I think I remember saying that Matthew McConaughey was also asked, and he said no. I thought that was also a thing. Maybe that was bullshit. But at least the official one was Josh Brolin. So maybe that short list was just, I mean, it was never confirmed. So it was probably just total bullshit. We were all probably just talking out of our asses. And then James Gunn, Chris Mundy were like, what are these fucking idiots talking about? Ooh, what? Yeah. Who? Ewan McGregor? What the fuck is this? And then, but honestly, I still think Chris Pine or Timothy Olyphant would have been perfect. I think Kyle Chandler's a good choice. It's a different choice. It's an interesting choice. He's not like who I would have like picked immediately. Probably wouldn't even be in the top 20, but like, you know what? I think he's a very good actor. He did work. I mean, yeah. So I think Kyle Chandler is a good choice. Maybe not the best choice, but still a good, like, it's not like they got like, I don't know, like Pauly Shore for fucking Hal Jordan. That's like
you took a pretty big leap there between even Kyle Chandler.
I don't know. That was just the worst actor I can think of off the top of my head.
But by the way, before we step forward and get into this, I did want to state, like, earlier today, this news broke, of course. If you guys, I'm sure you guys are already aware of this. Kyle Chandler, it was Deadline first reported it exclusively that he's in talks to play the role of Hal Jordan. And literally 24 minutes later, a Hollywood Reporter puts out their exclusive saying, hey, he is set to star. He has signed on. So it was 30 minutes within which these two, outlets were like, yeah, here we go. Like, it's happening. Kyle Chandler is joining into the DC universe. And of course, he was in Friday Night Lights. He has been in King Kong, as Josh mentioned, the 2005 King Kong, the one that was directed.
Yeah, clearly not the 1933 King Kong.
I'm just clarifying. I'm just saying. Caleb Richardson in the chat saying, I'm still baffled why they decided to have a 10-day wait between episode 1 and 2 of The Penguin. Caleb, we will get into that later. But, good shout, and we will talk about that. But Kyle Chandler, John, can you
Yes.
tell us who this? Because Fiona was asking earlier, where did this guy come from? And I think for the average
The inner
person who
depths
isn't
of the
necessarily
earth.
the biggest TV fan, because here's the thing, Kyle Chandler is not a movie star per se. He's been in movies. Obviously, he was in King Kong. He was in one of the recent Godzilla
He
and
was in
Kong
the.
franchise movies.
He was in King of the Monsters,
Yeah,
Godzilla versus Kong. He wasn't in
right.
Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, I don't think. So yeah, he was in those two.
Yeah,
He was good in
but
those.
right, but for the average person, I mean, like if you skip those movies, if you maybe saw one of those movies, and it's not like he plays a starring role in
No.
those movies, you probably don't know who he is. So, John, can you give us a little bit of an insight into who Kyle Chandler is? What is he most known for? What should we be looking out for when talking about Kyle Chandler? And what can you look
So
forward to maybe in this role as he takes on the mantle?
so Kyle Chandler is a pretty balanced actor. He can do comedy and he can do drama. He can do a little bit of. He's mostly known as like a lighter kind of actor, like nothing like not like something like Josh Brolin, like the grit of Josh Brolin. Like he does like a lot of gritty kind of western like dark dramas, that kind of shit. Like I think that's who they really wanted. Like someone with a lot of grit. But I think he can. But here's the thing: I think Kyle Chandler can probably pull off the attributes of Hal in a comic sense more, because he was in Friday Night Lights, which wasn't the most serious thing ever, but he was, you know, it was a well-made drama. I heard Friday Night Lights was good. He was also in Bloodline. That was another show. Who, by the way, it makes sense because Chris Mundy he wasn't the showrunner. He was one of the executive producers. So he wasn't the showrunner of that. He didn't create it. He create the only creator credit he has is Ozark. So Kyle Chandler, he's done a lot of TV. And I think in terms of what he's done, what I've seen him from, I think he can definitely he's definitely given off leadership qualities. Like he was the head coach in Friday Night Lights, and he's someone I feel like take like who can like own a room a little bit. He's not, and I feel like you have to have those qualities for Green Lantern. And I think he's got the stature, he's got the face, he's definitely has the age for it. So I do think that he has given enough roles with smaller movies or bigger. Oh my god, now that would be a choice. If we're talking about a choice, that would be I can't believe it. I can't believe you would do that. I can't believe you would commit suicide. Like, just
Yeah, yeah, that would
Neil.
be
I know
fun.
what. Now I want to see the entire DCU played by Neil Breen. Like
Neil
that would
Breen,
be the greatest
everybody,
worst thing ever. Anyway,
everybody.
it's just like he just hacks the government. He just hacks Darkseid and it's like, I'm going to kill everybody. I've hacked every government. Like just like full on, just go crazy. Anyway, but I think yeah, it's just Kyle Chandler was not someone who I expected, but it's like I think it just comes out of the case where it's like I think Caleb Richardson was right. They probably offered to Josh Brolin. They most likely they definitely offered it to Josh Brolin. That was a news story. Like that was actually like an exclusive by actual real news cases, not Nexus Point News, like actual people that could back this shit up. Um, they said it, and then on top of that, um, then you had Matthew McConaughey who maybe denied the role, and then they're like, okay, these two big people that we really wanted didn't want to do it, so all right, Chris Mundy, who do you got? Well, there's this guy I worked
Yeah,
on. There's this show I worked on
it's
called Bloodline and perfect.
yeah.
Kyle Chandler, that'll do it. But
I mean,
I do think he's a very good actor. I think this would be a good role for him. I mean, it can't be any worse than fucking Ryan Reynolds. Like, in all honesty, it can't. Like, I know, Nathan Fillion was the guy to play, ironically, Hal for like the longest time. I do think Chris Pine would have been better. Honestly, I you know what? You know what? I don't think he would want to, but I would love to see it.
I don't.
Can we
not all.
Please just get like an Elseworld Kingdom Come adaptation with Nick Cage as Superman?
That would be pretty fantastic. I wouldn't mind that.
Like,
I would not mind that.
Let's fucking go. But yeah, I think this is a good choice. Wait, is it the best choice? No, but like, you know what? Kyle Chandler, I think he's a good actor. I think out of the 3 executive producers we have, one of them is good. So like maybe he can like, and he is the showrunner. He is the head honcho. So that gives me some sort of hope. And the fact that Kyle Chandler was chosen and Chris Monday specifically worked with him, probably, that gives me some hope that Chris Monday is like,
it does matter though. Yeah.
Maybe Monday has like real control over this and isn't going to be like Tom King is like, hey, here's this completely fucking stupid idea. And Monday is just like, no. So let's hope that there's a lot of that. We can pray to every higher power in the known universe. I don't know about that. Because there was another report that allegedly, I think people are speaking out of their asses. This is grain of salt territory, where people were like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't in his contract. Oh, he's not set to come back for movies." And it's
that was a rumor.
Okay. First off, where the fuck did you get this? Because that is total bullshit.
You know what bothered me the most? Dude, here's the thing. That tweet that you're referring to, in the tweet it says via THR, as in the Hollywood Reporter. And I'm like, then I was like, I did a double take. I went back and read the article all over again.
That's what I did.
This article on the Hollywood Reporter that we were looking at earlier, nowhere in the article does it say they're gonna kill this guy off, or that Kyle Chandler has only signed up for the show, has no contract for future appearances.
Exactly.
And to be quite frank, just to kind of dispel this, like, even if he was only signed on for the show so far, it doesn't say anything about future appearances as to whether his character's going to survive or not. Because
let's focus one thing at a time, guys. This could be canceled. This could be, who knows?
Exactly.
We don't even have a full universe yet. We don't even have a universe yet.
I mean, look, we live in a world where we're used to seeing like Robert Downey Jr. or Scarlett Johansson, whoever, like, you know, sign on for working with the studio, or like Hugh Jackman, or even somebody like Robert Pattinson, do a multi-picture deal, right? Studios like to do that because that gives them a certain level of priority over the actor's schedule. Like, you know, like Elizabeth Olsen was like happy after doing Multiverse of Madness, like, hey, I can finally go do these other projects because I'm no longer tied to Marvel. Because under her contract, whenever they were like, oh, we've got another thing for you, she would have to basically be like, okay, I can't do this anything else because I'm tied up with that contract that I have with Disney. So while that is the case, in most of those situations, in fact, in almost every situation where they have multi-picture deals, the studios have the option to exercise those multi-picture like elements. Like, they don't need you. Just because you signed up for 5 appearances doesn't mean the studio has to use up the 5 appearances. In sports terms, it's like a team option, you know, like, and this team being the studio, the player being like the actor. So it's optional. Now, the opposite could be true, that they just sign him for the show for now, like you said, John, and then see where things go. And if this thing blows up, they can be like, let's give you a contract, like, real, you know, have you sign a new deal, and then, you know, you'll come and do a movie for us where you are part of the Lanterns, or maybe he's in a different, like a Justice League movie or whatever that might be. It doesn't say one way or the other whether his character is going to die in the show or not, right? We don't. There's been no confirmation. There's no, like, so wherever you're seeing this, especially if they're saying via the Hollywood Reporter or something, the article does not say anything to that effect at all.
So actually read the article, guys, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Actually read it. So that's total bullshit. Like, essentially, they're just pulling it out of their ass because they, you know, it's just like, oh, because he's older, he's gonna die sooner. It's just like, no, that's not necessarily the case.
I mean, to be quite frank, he's the same age roughly as a lot of the other A-listers we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's just because he's less known, right? Like, it doesn't mean they're gonna kill him off. Plus, he's the kind of actor who has done a lot of roles where he's a layer or two away from the lead. Like, he's a step down, right? It doesn't mean he can rise to the occasion. Like, I can easily see him Like this could be the biggest role of his career, probably is already, and then he can rise up to become iconic. Like there's examples of that. Chris Evans wasn't a household name before Captain America. You know, Michael Keaton was very well known, but he didn't become the Michael Keaton we know today if he didn't play Batman. Let's be honest. Like he would have had a great
He
career,
never would have
but
become Johnny Dangerously if he never
exactly.
did Batman.
So it just, yeah. I mean, so to that end, I mean, I'm just looking at it and thinking to myself, give the guy a chance. But John,
Yeah.
what
I
is
mean, but the
your
thing is,
personal opinion
again,
on it?
that's what
Yeah.
Josh was saying. Like, he was like Heath Ledger, Chris Evans, you know, fucking Michael Keaton, like all of these guys. They're like, oh, they're gonna suck. Like, the only one y'all have been right about was Jared Leto, and that was 1 out of what, 20? Like, you're like, oh, Gal Gadot's gonna suck. She was great. Heath Ledger's gonna suck. He was great. Chris Evans is gonna suck. He was great. Michael Keaton's gonna suck. He was great. Ben Affleck's gonna suck. He was great. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Robert Pattinson's gonna suck. He was great. Like, stop. You 9 times out of 10. I would say 9.5 times out of 10. You've lost. Stop it. Get some help. You know. There you go. Richardson. Thank you, Mr. Caleb Richardson, out here speaking facts with your hot takes that are not hot takes, but you're with your regular
and look,
takes
even
that are
if,
good.
even if they did sign up for a multi-picture deal, doesn't mean they're going to exercise that, right? Like a multi-picture deal means,
because here's the thing. Sorry to cut you off, but it you know why they're not signing multi-picture deals? What has James Gunn been saying fucking again and again and again and again until he's blue in the face? We are only green lighting projects until the script is done. We're probably never gonna really get a and again, I don't know. I'm not a legal guy. I don't know how contracts work. So it's like we're probably even not gonna get like contracts until like this thing is like knee deep, like until like we've got like a year has gone by, or we're probably not going to get contract stuff for a while. So you know what, it's just that's the nature of the beast. So I don't think we're like, people are so used to seeing all that, oh, we get fucking 100 million for this many movies, blah 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 blah. He's going to be Green Lantern for a season because that's all that's greenlit right now, but like people need to like conduct, because we want to see all the things happen. It's like maybe, just maybe, now it is possible he gets killed off after a season. I hope that doesn't happen, but like maybe that's possible. But it's also possible that it's just like this shit has not started yet. December, guys, that's when this shit starts, and it's 2 months, pretty much almost 2 months away. So you know what, 2-3 months away, but I think so I feel like it's following into what James Gunn is doing. He doesn't want to greenlight this stuff until we're all set and ready to go. So I think we just need to be a little bit more patient. So I don't know. Just I think it's like the man was literally just cast today. Like, I think people need to calm down a bit.
It's a little. I think we don't want to put the horse before the cart, right? Like it's a situation where we again have not read the scripts. They've got 8 stories they're gonna tell, which is gonna comprise this series, this whole season we're gonna get of Lanterns. We don't know what the stories are gonna be, so we can't really tell how good of a fit Kyle Chandler is gonna be. If there's one thing about somebody like Kyle Chandler, it's sort of like who's playing Maroni again in the Penguin? Clancy Brown. It's like Clancy Brown, right? Kyle Chandler is like a Clancy Brown. You know him from somewhere, and yet you can't put your finger on it. But whenever he shows up in something, he does a good job, right? Like you're gonna.
Although I would say Clancy Brown has a little bit more substantialness.
Yes,
Bro is in like one of the greatest movies ever made. So like, you know, I think Clancy Brown has a little bit more, I don't know what the word, a little bit more clout than Kyle Chandler does, but but not saying that it's just like I would say he's like Clancy Brown's like hard B C list. Like he's like I would say C plus B minus. So, and Kyle Chandler's like C minus into D level. Again, not saying about his acting quality. I mean,
I'm
in
just
terms of
but
stardom.
that's just the scale of resume. What I'm trying to say is they're both character actors in ways
Yes.
more so than like they're not Brad Pitt, right? Like they're not when they show up in the movie, you immediately believe that they're the character that they're playing because they
Look
can
at the
blend
fucking
into that
Creature
role.
Commandos. I know that's an animated series, but like outside of the people that are appearing in multiple stuff like that we know of, like Frank Grillo and Amanda Waller or Viola Davis, we have David Harbour, who's in Marvel and Stranger Things. That's like the only substantials. But outside of that, he's not really in a lot. Like every other movie he's been in has been like a failure. So then you have Alan Tudyk, who's another character actor. You have like Zoe Chow. You have who's I can't remember her fucking name. What's her name? The chick who's playing the bride. Again, I can't even think of their names, but like you like Anya Chalotra, you have like Sean Gunn and Indira Varma was her name.
Dira Verma, yes.
Maria Bakalova, like Steve Agee, like these are not household names at all.
I
And
mean,
this
but
is
they've done great things.
they've
Obviously,
done a
like a
lot of
lot of them
great
have been
stuff.
in movies and like
Alan
big
Tudyk,
shows.
I will
Yeah.
say, God's
Yeah.
gift to humanity. We love him. I still need to finish
Yeah.
season 3 of Resident Evil, or Resident Alien. Jesus Christ.
Alien. Yeah.
But yes,
Correction.
great show. I highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. But it's just like I know it's like animated, yes, but like they are going to be appearing in live action if they ever get like that. Eventually, I mean, James Gunn did say animated is canon, and they're going to show up in live action if that's the case. So,
I mean, they're casting these actors so they can move into
so
a
they
live action
can
role.
reprise their roles in live action if need be. So
Yeah.
I think that's like the case. Like, and Kyle Chandler's known more known than like 90% of that cast. So, I think people need to again. There hasn't been a ton of. I haven't seen like a ton of pushback. I've just the main consensus is like, oh, that guy, okay, and then that's like
Yeah.
kind of it. Like it's nothing bad, nothing like great or anything. It wasn't like, oh my god, this guy is perfect, or oh my god, this guy is horrible. It's just like, okay, the guy from Friday Night Lights, cool. Let's
Yeah.
see, and then that's kind of it. So I'm still I'm still cautious with it because people I don't like are the head honchos. But in terms of what we're getting, and on top of the fact, what I did want to mention before we move on from this specifically, in the article, in the Hollywood Reporter article, it actually said, unlike the bullshit rhetoric that people were spewing, what it actually says in the article that they are confirmed to be filming in Atlanta from January to June, just like Supergirl. So it seems like that might be the first that's probably going to be the first live action show we're getting is Lanterns. I mean, that was like we were kind of like, I remember we were discussing the timeline at one point and we're like, oh, it could go like that, but it seems like the case is going to be this. It's going to be Creature Commandos, then Superman, then Peacemaker season 2 sometime in late 2025, then Supergirl, then Lantern. So it seems like that's the timeline right now. Obviously, things change. I would assume Waller might also come out in 2026. That might come out. I would say if I were to guess, since Lanterns is being shot around the same time as Supergirl, and that might come out in like around that time, late spring, early summer. And then Waller, since they did say that they were writing it and they do have their star already because, she's a carryover from the previous universe. I think Waller might come out in late 2026 in like the fall, if I were to guess. So, but that's rumor mill. That's just me theorizing because I'm just basing it off of like logistics and common sense. So that's if I were to guess, it's Waller after Supergirl, and Lanterns would come in either right before or right after Supergirl.
Well,
So
the thing is, we haven't gotten nearly as much in terms of
right,
like, okay, so obviously the cast is less of an issue with Waller because we have a lot of the actors already in place, but we don't know if they have scripts. We haven't seen the official green light for that, so it is still a bit further away in that way. I mean, clearly there's some things in some ways it's farther along because like Lanterns has everything else, but the casting is still in progress. So I wouldn't be surprised if honestly in 2026 we get Supergirl, we get 2 TV shows with Waller and Lanterns, and then if maybe they will be able to get another movie off the ground by then. Who knows? I mean, they could also
hopefully.
have just an ace up their
Again,
sleeves and we just haven't heard about it. So
if I were to theorize, since we have, even though we don't have a cast, we do have a writer and director for Swamp Thing. So if I were to guess, if we're getting 2 movies in 2026, I would say maybe Swamp Thing, but that might be just me pulling shit out of my ass because we don't have a cast. We haven't gotten any news. Meanwhile, Supergirl is like, hey, we're filming. So like the most I could see is if like they were serious about Swamp Thing. I would say if that is the next movie after Supergirl or the next whatever next movie, not even just Swamp Thing, would be around the time that like Supergirl is towards the end of filming. Like I'd imagine like sometime in May or June is when the movie after Supergirl, whatever that may be. I think Swamp Thing could be something else. That's what would come after. Because that, in terms of the timeline, because they want to give a year for special effects and post production, which thank the heavens. But that's my theorizing. I'm just trying to like have a good timeline here. Just again, I'm a logistics type of man. I'm a man of logic, so I want to kind of give you guys something in regards to that because I just feel like that makes sense. Do you think that makes sense? I'm just saying. You know this shit better than I do, so I'm curious to know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and I see that there's a lot of uncertainty. They haven't announced like when they're gonna go into production on some of these things, right? So as far as I can see right now, because things can change. Like for all we know, there could be another strike, something else could happen, and things get
that's fair
toned back. Right. But where we stand right now, we have Superman and Supergirl confirmed. Supergirl is getting ready to shoot, it's got his cast. Superman obviously is done shooting. And Lanterns is about as ready to go into production as any show outside of Peacemaker, which is already in production, almost done shooting at this point. So yeah, Waller would be the next thing that would make sense. Swamp Thing, just because they've got a director attached doesn't mean they have a script.
It doesn't mean shit.
Because
There's Andy Muschietti's been like fucking doing Welcome to Derry for the past 15 fucking decades at this point.
I don't know. I think it's such a bad it's just such a bad like move from a PR standpoint when you're launching this universe and you hired this guy, but then you put out there that he's gonna be working on this other thing before he moves on to working on Batman. I'm like, to me it never reflected well that Batman became in the DCU a second priority to this other series. I'm like, Batman will make you way more money than that series will do for HBO. And by the way, the comment from Kevin earlier, HBO is struggling right now. They need another show besides The Last of Us and House of the Dragon. I don't think they're struggling. I mean, they've got the Penguin, and that show, we're gonna get into some of your comments about that later, but it's looking fantastic. Probably one of the best comic book shows of any kind. In fact, like they're kind of approaching it as less of a comic book show and more of just a crime drama, according to Lauren LaFranc, the showrunner. But HBO is doing really well. They've got like Hacks, which just won Best Comedy Series of the Emmys. Like, HBO is doing just fine. But and Lanterns will be just another,
bro, if they've got
jewel
like
in its crown.
it's like they got fucking House of the Dragon, like that's
and they're doing a new Dune Prophecy show, and then they've also announced another Game of Thrones spinoff. HBO is gonna be okay. I don't think we have to worry about HBO.
Yeah.
Casey wants to see Matt Ryan back as Constantine. I mean, hey, it's possible right now. More likely to get Keanu Reeves back because there's a script for his sequel. So
I would say the Arrowverse ruined him. I don't want to see Matt Ryan back again for a while at least, but I would just say get someone else to have a chance. Like there's so many great actors there's so many great actors that I would love to see as Constantine, because I think he's definitely an intriguing character that I would love to see like a lot more of. I would like to see him more become like a household name. So like I would say just Matt Ryan needs to retire from Constantine. Like fucking Legends of Tomorrow absolutely obliterated any goodwill that character had, in that version at least, because they completely fucked that character up beyond repair. So I think we just need to see another Constantine. Ironic with Keanu Reeves stepping back into the role, maybe. They've been promising this sequel for the past like 5 years at this point, probably longer. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But in terms of a DCU version, I would like to see a Brit take over the role. Proper Brit. I know Dan Stevens. I recommend him for everything. I'm just saying, I would
Dan
love to see
Stevens for
him.
everything in the DCU.
Um,
By the way, we don't know if Paradise Lost has writers yet. Just let Lucerne know.
no.
I don't think that was ever confirmed. They are looking and negotiating potentially. The Watcher saying real quick, I just want today. I really like this casting. Chandler is a great actor. I can totally see him. And then he just deleted his comment. Sorry, Watcher. I got to it before he deleted it. Dairy, the Welcome to Dairy, or is it called Dairyland, comes out next year. So that's pretty much hopefully done. Dune Prophecy comes out.
I love Casey's comment. David Tennant in a blonde wig. I could see it. I think he might be a little bit too old, but honestly, fuck it. I honestly, David Tennant. He, in terms of like his build, I think he could do it. But if I could see Christopher Eccleston too. I know like Doctor Who on the mind, but like Christopher Eccleston, Tim Roth could be really good. But I think they might be a little bit too old at this point.
Yeah.
I think Dan Stevens is kind of in that sweet spot where he would be like, because Constantine's like started off like in his like mid 30s, and that's not usually where like a guy like him starts, like a superhero quote unquote starts. It's usually like early to mid 20s, and then like as well as like Hellblazer, like it was in real time. It was like by the series end, which was 300 issues later, which was at some point in the 2000s, he like grew like 30 years. So I would like to his his time as the character like be in real time. I think that could be a good gauge of like how long that this universe has been around. And I think Dan Stevens, he's in his early 40s. I think he's 42, 43 right now. So I feel like that's like a good aged like character where he's been around the block, but he still has like more to go. And so I think that would be really, really good and interesting. But that's just me. I know.
By the way, Charlie Hunnam is not British. I think he's Australian. But close enough.
No, I think I think he is British.
Is he British? I thought he was.
He is from the UK. He's 44. It's just the thing is about Charlie Hunnam. Unfortunately, he's not a good actor. So, I don't think he would work. Like I'm just gonna say this: Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, he might have been the star, but like everyone else carried that show. I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh, he should be Green Arrow. How about Shut Up?
I'm gonna bring the conversation back to the Kyle Chandler story.
Anyway, Kyle Chandler.
Okay. So the Watcher makes a good point here. I really like the casting. Chandler is a good actor. I can see him as Hal. I think this proves Gunn really wants a seasoned Hal. And I think that's a good point, John. So to that end, let me ask you this now. You look at Kyle Chandler, you look at his credits. He's obviously not going to stand out amongst a crowd of A-listers, but he's done a lot of movies, he's done a lot of TV shows, he's an Emmy winner, he's got a resume. He can be that mentor character that they've been looking for. And regardless of whether his character continues beyond the show or not, and whichever direction Hal Jordan in this DCU goes, I think it would be a mistake to just write him off after 8 episodes. But that's my opinion. Do you think that now that he's, in place, we have certain other consequences as a result of that, as in what's the kind of who is a good Jon Stewart candidate at this point? If now that it's sort of like solving a math equation, right? Like if you know your X and now you need to figure out Y, and you've got the answer on one side, and
here
forget the algebra reference, but who do you think is a good match for him?
In terms of Kyle Chandler, with how he looks younger. Even
he does look younger than his age, which none of you guys pointed out. Like he does not look.
He does
as
have
old
like
as
a
he
bit
is.
of like salt and pepper hair, but like maybe some wrinkles, but not. He's not Timothy Olyphant, who has gray hair. He's not Chris Pine, who looks like a hobo right now. But he, he looks. I would say he's okay. I'm going to look up his age because I don't want to get this wrong. But whatever his age is, let's see. He's 59. This dude is 60, almost fucking 60. He just turned 59 a couple days ago. Actually, happy birthday! About 5 days ago. Happy birthday!
What a way to celebrate your birthday, but like the biggest role of your career.
Anyway, so Kyle Chandler, which is like interesting with how that. Okay, I will say his age does add to the theory that he might die. I will give you the guys that. But anyway, so however, he does look good for his age. Let's just move on from that bullshit rumor mill. But he looks good for his age. He's 69, but he doesn't look it. Or 69, Jesus Christ, 59. Sorry, my mind is in the gutter, guys. I'm a very disgusting individual. Anyway, 59. He looks good for his age. I'll pull up the Hollywood Reporter article because that was more of a recent picture of him. But he's kind of graying a little bit. Like this was for Slumberland, which was came out a couple years ago, like 2022, I think. So yeah, he's got some wrinkles, but his hair is still black. He probably dyes it. I don't know. But but with this look, if we're going by this look, he looks. I would say, if I were to guess, didn't know his age, I would have said maybe 50 at most. Like he looks good for his age. So you have that. But he still feels younger to me. I don't know why. I'm just okay. I keep filibustering. I'm just gonna say Aaron Pierre is probably not a good choice. I know that upsets me. I know John David Washington is probably not a good choice in terms of what we're looking at, because I feel like even though Aaron Pierre is 30, but like looking at Rebel Ridge, he's fucking built now. He looks. I would say, okay, so John David Washington, yeah, he can pull off younger, but one, he is actually older, so he can't do it. Anyway, Aaron Pierre, he looks too mature for me. Like in terms, now that we have a Hal Jordan to compare to.
But don't you think that's going to create a nice chemistry where it's that friction creates fire situation, to quote the Jump Street movies? Like, is it like maybe because it's sort of like two people that want to do things their very specific ways. Neither of them are rookies in life, but they're like one of them is a rookie at being a lantern.
Yes,
and that's really where
I still feel like in terms of the look, I feel like he's a little bit too mature. However, again, this is one of the cases where it's like, if Aaron Pierre is cast tomorrow, I'm not fucking complaining because they can fucking make it work. All right.
Yeah.
So maybe you know what Aaron Pierre could do? Just lose the beard, because he looks very young without his beard. So I would say lose the beard, and maybe then we're good. Then we're Gucci. But I will say Kelvin Harrison Jr. is probably the slightly, but I know some people were complaining about his alleged rumor mill. But honestly, I can kind of see that a little bit more because he looks younger and more naive a little bit. He just, I will say Aaron Pierre has the build for Jon Stewart and all that. He looks mature. I would say lose the beard, maybe grow your hair out a little bit. I'm sure makeup can do a lot too, But in terms of the one that everybody wants, Aaron Pierre, and the one that was rumored that we were just talking about, Kelvin Harrison Jr., he looks like he can pull off someone with age in terms of life, but I still feel like he can pull off naivete in regards to, oh, hey, boom, both of them right together. Boom, there we go. That's perfect. Boom. Now we can compare the two of these guys right here. So I would say, yeah, Aaron Pierre does look a little bit more mature, and but here's the thing. I think both could do a very good job. I've seen them both in movies. I still need to watch Rebel Ridge, guys. I know. I'm bad. I will watch it soon, I swear. But I think the both of them could do a good job, and I'm not saying Aaron Pierre can't. It's just in terms of, I think what they're looking for more like the hothead rookie. I think Harrison could pull that out a little bit better. but I still think Aaron Pierre could do a good job, like maybe just kind of make him look a little bit younger. Because I just feel like with how Kyle Chandler looks, you need someone who looks young to complement his looking youngness at this point. So that's just what's in my head. I'm just kind of filibustering at this point, and I apologize, but that's just what's going on in my head a little bit.
I mean, to me, it will again come down to the story they're trying to tell. Because if they are going for, like, I think Kelvin Harrison Jr., who's on the left in this image, far left, he could play somebody who's sort of like the Wally West Flash from the animated movies aspect of the character, where you could tell that he's going to make rookie mistakes because he hasn't really been doing, he's a rookie at life, not just at what he does as a Lantern. And Pierre, on the other hand, will come in and can be like, hey, I am an experienced architect and I know what I'm doing. I have my way of doing things. And yet this way of doing things isn't necessarily the best way to do things as a Lantern or as a galactic super cop.
Right.
And that's where Kyle Chandler could be like, all right, well, now let's try it my way. Like it's I think it will depend again on the kind of character dynamic to go for.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, guys, if you guys are watching live, Morcatna, Casey, Temple, The Watcher, Antonio, Miraculous, everybody in the chat, hit the like button. I only see that if a couple of you guys have liked this video. It really helps us out. Hit that like button. It really does help us out. But yes, I do think that it would depend on, again, the type of story they're trying to tell. Speaking of which, John, do you think casting Kyle Chandler gives you any level of insight into the kind of show this is going to be? Because it is one thing if you bring in a Matthew McConaughey or a Josh Brolin. It's another when you bring in somebody like Kyle Chandler. Do you feel like, because a lot of you guys in the chat have been saying, maybe they pivoted. But how much can they pivot? I mean, they have scripts already done. It's not like they're going to rewrite the character because
I feel like
to get the right actor for the role,
So it feels like, again, what Caleb was saying, how it feels like they wanted an A-lister, they designed it for an A-lister, and now they're kind of settling for a C-lister. However, now it just, instead of like an A-lister slipping into the role, now it's just Kyle Chandler just has to do double duty. I just think that it's agreed. I think, again, he wouldn't be bad, and I'm pretty sure if he is cast tomorrow, they could make it work. But I just feel like, again, someone a little bit more younger. Jesus Christ, my grammar's terrible today. A little bit younger, a little bit more naive, I think would fit better with Kyle Chandler. But I feel like he's going to, and honestly, that's kind of what Hal is. Like he's the greatest Green Lantern for a reason, and I think Kyle Chandler is really going to have to go above and beyond to really, like, they're like, okay, we wanted an A-lister, but we got you. So I feel like that's a quote from something like, you didn't get this, but you got us. Like, I feel like that's from like Suicide Squad or something. Anyway,
what are we, some kind of Thunderbolts? I don't know.
Well, that's tomorrow. We're talking about that tomorrow.
We'll talk about tomorrow. What are we, some kind of
they wanted a hero, but they got me. I feel like that's from something anyway. So I
maybe
feel like,
is that from Deadpool Wolverine or something? Maybe it's the one where he's by the fire and what's her name? X something. I forget. Anyway, sorry.
X-23. Anyway, so I feel like he's just gonna have to, like, all right, fine. These motherfuckers want an A-lister. I will give them A-lister fucking material to work with. So I feel like Kyle Chandler's just gonna, like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking go above and beyond. I'm gonna give them what they wanted. Sure, I might not be like Matthew fucking McConaughey. I would kind of agree with that. I feel like if they haven't cast him yet, they're close. And honestly, theory time, since now we have gotten an Hal Jordan, I feel like they're going to announce Jon Stewart at New York ComicCon. Boom. Theory, my theory. Anyway, I'm just saying, I'm putting it out into the universe.
That would be quite the announcement. That would be a.
I'm just saying. I know they said Creature Commandos,
announcement.
And I know we were talking about, like, oh, are they going to drop major news? And I was saying, no, not really. But now that we've gotten Kyle Chandler, and New York ComicCon is 3 weeks away, I think, I feel like they are close or have already cast Jon Stewart, and they're going to reveal that at Comic-Con. But that's just my theory. So I feel like, yeah. So Kyle Chandler's just gonna have to do double duty. He's like, I'm gonna give him fucking A-lister. I'm good. I don't care what you guys thought of me, whatever. I don't care if you have to fucking settled for me, whatever. I'm gonna give you fucking A-lister no matter what. And I think he can deliver. I think he can deliver. Because I think he's a very good actor. I mean, he might not be the greatest actor ever, but he's a damn fine actor. He's been in a lot of great shows. He's been in a lot of great movies. And I think he's always given like 100%. So you know what? I'm really intrigued for this portrayal. I want the show to be good. I still don't 100% trust the show, but we'll see. And I think no matter what, Kyle Chandler will be good in it, no matter how bad the show might be.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I think that I feel comfortable about is I know that Kyle Chandler as an actor delivers when he's asked to do so. There's no question of his ego is going to get in the way of getting the job done. So whatever they have in mind for him as an actor to bring to this role of Hal Jordan, he's gonna do it to the best of his ability. And also, James Gunn is no stranger to bringing in lesser known actors and then elevating them to the material that he has put together. And granted, he's not the one behind the writing for this show, but he's still leading the charge. I mean, yes, he did elevate Dave Bautista's career, and he practically put Chris Pratt's movie career on the map. He fucking
made Chris Pratt an action star. He went from Andy Dwyer to six-pack action star in one movie. Yeah. So, like, you know what? Hell with it.
So, I think, yes, Kyle Chandler, this is his biggest role of his career. For any of you guys joining late, there was a rumor out there that, hey, according to the Hollywood Reporter, they're going to kill him off in this series. He is not signed up for more than just a series. There is nothing like that in the Hollywood Reporter article mentioning whether he's going to be around for just a show or not. The Hollywood Reporter article that I read, and there's only one, states that they're going to start filming, or they're aiming to start filming in January and go to like June of next year. So about a 6-month period to film. I believe there's going to be 8 episodes, kind of similar to what the Penguin has airing now. But beyond that, there's no truth to the idea that he's only signed up for this project. His character could die in the first episode, could go all the way through the 8 episodes, or could die in the season finale, or, could be around for years to come. We just don't know that. Nobody has said anything. If you guys are wondering if James Gunn has talked about this yet, he has not. Which a lot of times when James Gunn doesn't say anything, he has mentioned in the past that he's not able to talk about it publicly until all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed. Meaning that until the contracts are completely finalized and signed. So I have a feeling that this is, while the news is being broken by Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, reliable news sources from Hollywood, what they will call the trades in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
It's something where they're still probably working out the contracts and things. Because just if you remember this, going back earlier in the day, it was only like 24 minutes before the Hollywood Reporter article came out that Deadline was talking about, hey, exclusive, Kyle Chandler is in negotiations to star in Lanterns as Hal Jordan. And then less than a half hour later, the Hollywood Reporter runs with the story that he is now confirmed. He is signed up, meaning that they probably have similar sources. And, one got in from different information than the other, but they were both, one was maybe like trying to be vague about like, oh yeah, he's in talks, and which could still be true. Like if the contracts aren't 100% signed, maybe it's 90%.
The contracts that you guys are so fucking bent out of shape over, damn it.
It's I'm just kidding. But all of that to say, like Kyle Chandler would be I think he could be a great pick. Could this go sideways? Yes, it could. Everything could go sideways. It could be a terrible show. But Chris Mundy has a hell of a track record. Ozark is still one of the most talked about TV shows of the last decade. And
hell, Bloodline, the show he was a part of, was apparently very well done. Fantastic. Although I did hear that people hated the ending because it got canceled and they couldn't give it a proper ending. That was the only thing that I heard that was bad about it. But I don't blame that on them. I just blame that on the dumbasses who canceled it.
Yeah, well, I mean, but also, okay, then let me ask you this question, John. Speaking of it,
that's fair. That's fair. But that's just my theory. Like, I don't know. It just seems interesting that New York ComicCon soon. They just announced Kyle Chandler. I'm just saying it's close enough. Maybe.
Yeah. Josh is like, the contracts, damn it, the contracts. Where's that from?
I will say Josh is definitely our funny man of these. Yeah. He's definitely the funny man of these streams. And then, Caleb is just like giving like the hardest fucking takes that are just awesome, or like just stone cold info. Lenny is just being the sarcastic Brit that she is, and then like, and then Manola Rivera giving good stuff, Hunter Iggy giving interesting questions that have nothing to do with the conversation. And then, we appreciate all your comments. Again, I've said this before. Love you guys. Love you. Appreciate you. We love all your comments. Thank you. And make sure to
everybody in the chat today. I mean, we got some names that I haven't really seen in a while or very often. I mean, Morkatna's there. We got Kudos.
And KC is in the Kyle Chandler. Are you in? KC, are you secretly Kyle Chandler?
Are you Kyle Chandler? I mean, hey.
Anyway,
by the way, Temple is like, speaking of off-topic questions, would you rather live in Gotham or Metropolis? I don't know. That depends.
Metropolis.
Are they across the bay from each other, like in the
DCEU? Would you rather live in a decently well-kept city with Superman as your hero, or like the most corrupt, fucked up hellhaven, to the point it is in canonical comics that the government nuked every bridge and let Gotham fend for itself because it was that fucked up? Yeah, no, Metropolis easily. That's like, hey, where do you want to go in your afterlife? Heaven or hell? Gee whiz, I wonder which one. Whoever picks Gotham is a fucking moron. Unless you're like Jeff Bezos level of fucking rich. But like outside of that, no, I'm the guy that's gonna like be forced to be part of Joker's gang, and then Batman gives me a concussion because I, was just there at the wrong time. So you know what? I'm just saying. Like I'm kidding, of course. Love Batman. I hate that, that bullshit argument. But even then, like, come on. Metropolis, easily.
By the way, Casey in the chat talking about like the idea of having an anthology series. I do believe they have interest in doing that. They haven't really announced anything. I think they have so much to do already. Like, we'll get to it eventually. I do hope to see an anthology series in this world somewhere, somehow. And to everybody watching, again, guys, if you're tuning in, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. We really appreciate that. And if you're tuning in late, then you're welcome to be kind and rewind. But if you want to continue with the conversation, John, now we're just getting in the chat is all about Gotham versus Metropolis.
We started something, ladies and gents.
We did, but speaking of which, we are going to get into this more tomorrow, but there was that driver license shot of Victor Aguilar in the first episode of The Penguin, and it does say Gotham, New Jersey. So we know that in the world of Matt Reeves' Batman,
that just makes sense.
I'm just saying, I know in comics it's always vague because, of course, they're talking about like, Gotham is like in New York. They shot it in New York. They shot it using a lot of production credits from the Made in New York fund and everything. But it's in the world of the Batman epic crime saga. Gotham is in New Jersey, which I found was
I just think that's interesting because now after the flood and after everything went to shit because of the Riddler, now it just looks like actual New Jersey. So
you might offend a few people with that comment.
We can offend fucking New Jersey. New Jerseyans would fucking agree with me. New Jersey's a fucking pit, all right? I mean, it's no Florida or California, but it's a fucking pit, all right?
That's great. Not gonna lie, I love Reeves Gotham, says Lusario Trainer. We do too. Have you been watching the show? Let us know. I mean, has everybody in the chat been watching? Are you guys watching The Penguin? Because that show, the first episode it blew my mind how good it was. I mean, I had high expectations, and it's rare that when you have expectations as high as I did for The Penguin, that they are actually met.
And I thought you were not gonna lie. I thought you were talking about the character Gotham, like that was introduced in the fucking Tom King Batman series, like Gotham and Gotham Girl. I'm like, I swear to God, don't fucking even tease with that, because James Gunn is apparently a fucking huge Tom King fan. So don't give them any ideas, please, for the love of God. I don't want to see Gotham and Gotham Girl. That'll just no, please don't talk about that.
Yeah. Guys, let us know in the comments, what questions do you have about Kyle Chandler being in Lanterns? Do you think this means that we're gonna get a Parallax from this Hal Jordan? Is that the evolution they're going for? Because here's the other thing. Kyle Chandler is not going to command the kind of paycheck that a Matthew McConaughey or Josh Brolin would have, Chris Pine or Timothy Olyphant, slightly lower profile. But even McGregor, those were all like truly A-list actors who would command a much bigger paycheck than what you would get, be what you can give out to Kyle Chandler. This is the biggest role of his career. For Matthew McConaughey, it would be just another project amongst the many he's done, and probably not even the highest profile thing he's done. So, or might do throughout his career. So, do you feel like that impacts maybe the future viability of this character? Granted, if they're making money and the show is, popular and they want to keep the character around, it's not like they're going to be paying him like tens of millions of dollars, or they would have done that to even Josh Brolin, for example, or Matthew McConaughey. But do you think this kind of bodes well for the character being in the DCU long term? And then do you think we're going to go down the Parallax route, or are they just going to kind of skip that?
I feel like Parallax, it's not going to be at the end of the season because, again, many have said you got to have a Green Lantern Hal Jordan we care about, and I feel like doing Parallax that early would just be so dumb. I think they might set the stage here for a Parallax later on because, like, the thing I'm thinking about is like, I don't know who dies, but like the grander conspiracy I can think of is like the Guardians like keeping because that was like the grand conspiracy of like, like it fed into Hal Jordan losing trust in the Guardians. And well, yes, Coast City getting destroyed was like the thing that set him off, but like that like sowed the seeds. So that could be like they're sowing the seeds now of like Hal Jordan losing trust in the Guardians and like then him eventually becoming Parallax, maybe in like a season 3, 4, 5 sense, but not. I don't think at the end of season 1 that would just be really ridiculous. So
I mean, do you really think this is gonna be a multi-season story? Because I feel like this they want to
if
transition
it's
these
not,
characters
I
into
would
the
be
movies. No,
surprised because the thing is, it's like it's Green fucking Lantern. That's an A-list fucking hero. It would be ridiculous not to have multiple seasons of a show based around Green
no,
Lanterns.
but I'm saying like they can. It's kind of like what Marvel does, right? Like Marvel did the WandaVision show, and then next time you saw Wanda, she was in Multiverse of Madness, and of course her character didn't stick around. Now we do. If you guys are watching Agatha all along, then in the first episode, the spoiler alert, the Agatha goes over and finds literally, the rock under which Wanda was buried. So it's a bit of a confirmation, even though they don't really show Elizabeth Olsen's character, that Wanda is indeed dead. So yes, there won't be another season. Whereas you have like Miss Marvel, who's gonna get another season. Moon Knight, it looks like they're trying to do another season. But with Lanterns, do you feel like with this first season being more about a murder mystery, like wouldn't it make sense that this is a singular season or like a limited series event where then the next time we come back to it, it's a completely different story? I mean, whereas the Penguin, maybe if the rise of the
they did
Penguin
say True
continues,
Detective was the basis, and that's an anthology show where it's different detectives
like do
each
you
season.
think it's possible they'll do this, but they will do it in that True Detective American Horror Story way, where it is a not an episodic anthology, but a seasonal anthology, where each season is a completely different story with new characters?
But the thing is, that doesn't make sense because like there's only so many lanterns that you can do. So I mean, what are you gonna pick? Like obviously Hal Jordan and John Stewart first season. What are they gonna do? Like Guy Gardner, like maybe the next season, and
Well,
then after
that's
that,
if
it's
Guy
gonna be
Gardner's even
fucking
around by then.
like Kyle Rayner. And like it just doesn't make sense because there's only so many lanterns that you can pick. I don't feel like they're gonna introduce a new lantern every season. I feel like that's a bit silly. And I feel like that wouldn't make a ton of sense. So I don't know. I mean, I could see them like having like a be about the same protagonist, like Hal and John, or maybe eventually just John, and they are, we follow them for a different case every season, but it'll still be an overall connective tissue show where it's not going to be like American Horror Story where it's like different, but like the same, like, but it's going to be the same characters with just like different cases. I just feel like it would be a bit silly to do different characters every season, I feel like that wouldn't make a whole ton of sense unless they do different lantern cores. But I don't think that they would do that.
I mean, hey, we're gonna get into that because we're gonna do a fan casting for all the different lantern cores coming up,
soon.
and then soon, because it just like so much news just keeps coming out about the actual show that we're like, we're gonna keep pushing it back. But when the news cycle
don't get my friend started on Chip. He fucking hates Chip. Because I was joking around because when the whole Superman saving the squirrel thing news when they were filming in Cleveland. I was like, oh yeah, they might. I was like joking around with my friend, and he's like, yeah, they might have Chip. He's like, I fucking hate Chip. I'm like, why? He's like, fucking hate Chip. Fucking sucks. Fucking overrated. Leonard. Fucking stupid. And he went on this whole time. I'm like, all right, calm down. It's a squirrel. It's like, I don't fucking care. Fucking Chip sucks. I'm like, all right. It was just weird.
I mean, what about other lanterns, like the lesser known ones, even? Because we have, what's her name, Jessica Cruz? Is that the other lantern? Like, do you think we're gonna go in that direction, maybe?
I mean, I would love it because
if you were to do that in the sequel seasons, but then also now that Josh Brolin, because this is a good question actually. Who said this in the chat? Josh, I don't know if you were. Oh, yeah, because Antonio is saying with Gunn involved, we will see Jessica Cruz. I would love to see that. In fact, there was a version of this show before James Gunn came over and took over. DC and DC Studios was a thing. The previous iteration of Lanterns was going to feature Jessica Cruz. I think they might have even cast somebody, and then they completely retooled the show.
I will say the only people they casted were Alan Scott and Guy Gardner. Finn Whitrock was going to play Guy Gardner, and then Jeremy something was going to play Alan Scott. Then they were going to have Simon Baz, Kyle Rayner, and Jessica Cruz at some point. They were going to get introduced, and then they were and then they scrapped everything. Then they were going to have a show with just Jon Stewart. And then the movie that never happened was just gonna have Hal Jordan, and then they scrapped that again, and it became the show that, and then it became the show that we're talking about right now. So
yeah,
I don't know. You're gonna have to talk with him about that.
It's John's friend who doesn't like it, the Watcher, not John. John is a fan of Chip. We talked about Chip, but we speculated maybe Chip is in Superman, because they did have a squirrel on set. What do you think, John, about the idea of a Kilowog, like these other alien lanterns? We sort of had Kilowog in the Snyder cut, no? Like he was in that montage, the flashback. Was that Kilowog?
I don't think so. No, that was Yingar or some weird lantern I've never heard of.
So then Kilowog was in the 2011 movie. Is that what I remember?
Yeah, played by Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah.
Which was honestly perfect casting. I mean, that movie might not be very good, but that was great casting. Fucking Jeffrey Rush as Tomar Ray. That was really good casting too.
Yeah. Trey Daniels like Morena Baccarin as Catwoman. Well, she's pretty much done with Marvel with the Deadpool franchise at this point. So yeah, I mean, could be. And yeah, Nathan Fillion is pitch perfect casting for Guy Gardner according to Josh. Wait, I don't get this. So this is a comment from Temple, and I thought Josh Brolin's gonna reject anything Green Lantern related because of freaking Ryan Reynolds of all people. I don't understand why Josh Brolin would do that because of Ryan Reynolds. I think Josh Brolin just probably didn't.
No, he's probably just you know what? No, it's he's I'm gonna come back as Thanos. Fuck this Green Lantern bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the rumor that he's gonna come back as Thanos and all that. And
yeah. Well, it's such a it's you know what, that there's a new movie that him and Peter Dinklage are in that I saw the trailer for recently.
That looks so ridiculous. I don't know. That'll either be the worst movie ever made or the greatest movie ever made. It has Brendan Fraser, so that's a good, that's good. I mean, I love him, but that looks like the weirdest fucking movie because it's just so not Josh Brolin. I think that's what they have on it. It's he's the weird, nerdy, fucking weak beta bitch that Josh Brolin just isn't. So I'd be curious to see that. It's just totally for Josh opposite Brolin's
of
range.
All the other characters he plays. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I would say what you will about Zack Snyder. if he introduced Catwoman at one point, who I think was going to be introduced in one of the Justice League movies, he's like, I would have gotten Carla Gugino as Catwoman. I'm like, Zachy, my boy, I might not like your movies, but you do have great casting choices.
She was in Watchmen, so that wouldn't have surprised me.
Yeah, and I would say Morena Baccarin would be a good Catwoman. I would just say, bro, like I swear to God, Eva Green as Catwoman would be perfection. And I'm just gonna say, if Eva Green was Catwoman, Batman would do the thing that DC says that Batman never does, because it would just be impossible not to. So you know what? I'm just gonna leave it at that, because Eva Green is just stone cold like that.
Well, Hunter Iggy is clearly you're just pitching Hunter Iggy an easy one to knock out of the park there, because that he seems to want to take you to a 69 party. So, yeah, a Chip and Bat might team up. That would be fun. I think we can.
No, it'd have to be Mixie and Batmite. That would make more sense.
Yeah, you're right. That would make more sense.
Because I mean, to just have like go full Brave and the Bold ending, that would be fun. Where Batmite just restarts the universe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun.
I mean, we're really getting to the fan castings now. The whole.
I mean, it makes sense. Zack Snyder is Manchester Black because he did say, "You're living in a fucking dream world." So like, he already has that line nailed. So like, you know. Yeah. He just making Man of Steel and BVS and Justice League, he made himself to be one of Superman's greatest villains by making Superman terrible. So you know what? It works. And now I'm just gonna have Dan go fucking balls to the wall mad at me because of how much he loves those movies.
Dude, I'm not, and whatever. I'm just gonna sidestep that comment. But yes, it's I'm not gonna get goaded into that. Who's Mixie could be the antagonist? So this is from Miraculous. Does he mean in like Lanterns? What character? I'm not familiar with
like
Mixie.
Mixie Spitlick.
Mixie Spitlick. Oh,
he's the fifth
Superman.
dimension.
Okay.
Yeah, because
how would he fit into the Lantern show?
No, he was talking about him and like if they did like a Bat Knight and Chip movie or show, then Mixie would be the villain. He was joking about that.
That would work.
But the thing is, like, both of them are fifth dimensional imps, so like that's why I said they would team up. Like Mixie would be like the straight laced, like kind of evil one, and then Batmite would be like the fan, like who's like comic relief. So like I feel like that would be a good buddy cop movie.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, do you think that based on this casting alone, because it's not a ton to go off of, honestly, because we know that now we have a name attached to the role, but do you think we're gonna get like a murder mystery where they are investigating the death of another Lantern? Also, question: so if Guy Gardner exists as a Lantern and Kyle Chandler is playing Hal Jordan, why did they need a third Lantern in the same district? Like, what's the
bro? There's like 17 lanterns, and because it's Earth, and they want to introduce more Green Lanterns, and people like humans, and like they just kept, it's how the shit. Okay, so initially it was just how the initial Green Lantern of Sector 2814 in terms of humans was Hal Jordan. And then and then Guy Gardner was the backup. Guy Gardner got into a coma, so then John Stewart became the backup. And then there was like a whole story with them like butting heads, like John Stewart and Guy Gardner. And then eventually, so they were just the three for a while. So it was just supposed to be them, one guy and a backup, just in case if something happens to Hal Jordan. But like one got into a coma, so and then they had to have another one. And then when he woke up, they had three. It's like, oh, well. And then with comics, fucking Hal Jordan goes evil. He becomes Parallax. I think Guy Gardner stopped being a Green Lantern. He became Warrior using Sinestro's ring. I don't know what happened to John Stewart during that time. And then like Kyle Rayner was the last Green Lantern for a while, and then they eventually brought back Hal Jordan and as regular Green Lantern in Green Lantern Rebirth, Green Lantern Corps Rebirth, and then they brought in eventually, I guess, just for a new 52 sort of thing, they just brought in Simon Baz, and then they brought in Jessica Cruz. So at least like the first 4 had a reason to exist. The last 2 kind of didn't. But like honestly, I think with Simon Baz, it was just like Jeff Johns being like, I'm half Lebanese. I want to make a Lebanese American character. So here's Simon Baz. There you go. And then nobody liked Simon Baz. And then I will say Jessica Cruz, it didn't make sense to add her, but like they made her like backstory just really interesting. And like, I mean, she's my favorite Green Lantern. So like, I don't know. It's just like, just something like about it. Okay. So Jessica Cruz as a character should not work, but she does, because it's like, okay, they made her, it's like the first female Green Lantern of 2814. She's also Hispanic, so it's like, all right, they're shoving that in there. But like but at the same time, they like made, okay, so hang on, I'm gonna look this up. Let's see. I forget what the name. Okay, so and then they made a Green Lantern, an introverted agoraphobic. Like that is just innately interesting. So because the whole thing was I think this was during the Forever Evil storyline. Power Ring, who's the Earth 3 equivalent of Hal Jordan, Harold Jordan, he dies, and then his ring in the Earth 3 universe goes to the most fearful person, not fearless person, because everything's opposite. And the most fearful person was Jessica Cruz. So she became the new Power Ring. So she's like starts fighting, but then like Batman talks her down, and she becomes like, through like everything, she becomes so powerful that she converts Power Ring's ring into an actual Green Lantern ring. And like then she learns to like take back her control and her power, and like she becomes a great Green Lantern. And I will say the book with them, I forget who did it, but the Rebirth run with Green Lanterns with Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz was fire, by the way. Great stuff. Yeah, exactly. Jessica, great Green Lantern. Shouldn't have worked, but she does. So that was I will say Green Lantern Corps was good, but like Green Lanterns was really good. And I will say Simon Baz, the arc he went on for that one was also really good. They unfortunately fucked it up, but it was like, because the whole thing with Simon Baz, the thing that people hated was like, you have the greatest fucking weapon in the universe on your fucking finger, yet you're carrying a Glock. Like, what the fuck? So it's like there was like this whole like arc with him like having more faith in the Green Lantern ring. And I was like, okay, and it ended with this really good crossover with them and Batman, because there was this thing with Scarecrow and him wanting to become a Yellow Lantern again, and another kind of cool crossover. And then there was like this ultimate thing, because Batman doesn't like guns, and so there was this ultimate like culmination of him learning not to have this like have more faith in the Green Lantern ring, essentially. And so he gives up his gun and he gives it to Batman. It's like this really great heroic moment. And then they fucked it up because something hid in his ring. I think it was Volthoom. Something hid in his ring, and he lost faith in it again, and he had to grab another gun and start shooting up the place. So yeah, it was a really good arc, and then they fucked it up. But I will say the initial thing was good. And yeah, so I'm sorry, we got a lost track, but like that is such a good. I will say, I know there are certain people, all 3 New 52 fans hated Rebirth because like they retconned everything and blah blah blah. But like there was a lot of great runs from that initial Rebirth line. So like, yeah, we don't talk about. Let's not talk about that, guys. Let's not talk about the Arizi Arabe and Hal Jordan thing. The less we talk about that, the better. Let's move on, please. Anyway, So yeah, Green Lanterns, good. Go read it. There was a lot of great runs during Rebirth. The Green Arrow run, Superwoman, Hawkman, The Flash, all of them were fucking fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, Temple, what do you have a question about? Marvel villain.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would love, just because they're so alike in terms of like another character, because Joker and Carnage are so similar. I'd love to give Carnage to Batman. That would be awesome. Because Cletus Cassidy is essentially the Joker, just without the makeup. He's just as psychopathic and, you know. Exactly. Fucking it was dumb. It was very dumb. But yeah. But we don't talk about that. So yeah, Kyle Chandler, he'll be a great Hal Jordan. Get excited.
I ultimately I think that this is a good pick. Let's see how it turns out. Because here's the thing, we were all worried about Ben Affleck playing Batman. We were all worried, like, I'm not saying everybody. I for one was okay with Heath Ledger. Let's see what he can do. But looking at what he had done prior to playing the Joker, you wouldn't have guessed that he would have been the GOAT of Jokers. Even Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, we were like, huh. So, there's all kinds of examples out there of fans sort of doubting the castings. Now, there are times when it doesn't work out. It could be a terrible show. But as of right now, Kyle Chandler, Emmy Award winning. He's not an A-lister, but he is going to be Hal Jordan. And while we're not going to get a Matthew McConaughey or a Chris Pine or a Timothy Olyphant or a Josh Brolin or a Ewan McGregor, Kyle Chandler could be a great pick. And I'm excited for that. But John, we don't just have this. You guys are getting into all kinds of theories in the chat. We do have some of your comments to get into, of course, as we always like to do. So let's dive into that next. So the first comment that we have is from the Penguin review that we did last week, John. So, of course, we were talking about the Penguin on, I believe, last Thursday when the series debuted. And Temple, you left us your review. I'm not going to read the whole review, but you guys can read the comment here and then go into the episode, DCU Daily 125, and read through the comment that Temple left us, as well as watch the episode, because we did spend a whole half hour going through all the spoilers and just kind of walking through the everything we liked about the show. But Temple said, love the first episode, and I'm certainly hyped for the rest of it. I have watched a lot of shows, and this might end up being one of, if not my favorite of all time, along with the Batman the animated series, but we shall see. We shall see. Now, I wouldn't want the show to end that fast as a limited series. I'd love to have season 2. Imagine if Oswald becomes the main villain of the second film with Vic, maybe becoming Victor Zsasz, considering Zsasz's backstory is losing all of his family's money via gambling. I mean, they're obviously, that's not the way they're going about this. But yeah, and then the second season could show us what's going on with Oz after the film. John, what do you think? Do you think that the Penguin is going to get a second season? Like, his character is going to survive the first season?
It depends on Colin Farrell. It really depends on Colin Farrell and what he wants to do, because he was like, I don't know if I want to be in the suit for right now, because of how, being in that headspace, being under all that makeup, it kind of gets to you after a while. So I don't think he wants to be in that makeup for a bit. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna be anything. I don't think it's gonna be anything like.
Yeah.
Like,
well, all right, let's get into the second comment.
That's like kind of the main thing of Colin Farrell. Like, it's all up to him. I would like to see more because it showed promise, but yeah.
All right, John, let's get into the second comment here of the day. We got again, Jay Kells saying, the most satisfying comic book live action TV series I've ever seen after just one episode. I liked the Batman, didn't love it at all, and because of that, I wasn't really excited for the Penguin. So super thumbs up. HBO quality. The bar has been set for DC Studios TV series.
I wouldn't go that far. Like, it was great, but like after one episode, it could like immediately go to shit. Like, it could the first episode is like amazing, and then it like immediately dips. So let's not say that too quickly. Yeah. So let's not jump the boat. Let's not jump the gun.
Yeah.
But it shows a lot of promise, but not the best after one episode.
There's still 7 more episodes
Daredevil,
to go. Let's give it
Legion,
time.
Superman and Lois all say hello. So,
dude, Legion is such a high bar. Legion itself is such a high bar, and it's not even a DC thing. But I mean, Peacemaker was season 1 was fantastic too. So it's got to earn its stripes, and each episode has got to do it. You got to earn it. Right. 7 more episodes to go, but it is a fantastic beginning to what looks like an amazing show. So yeah, and then this next comment, guys, we have from Temple again. Temple showing up again with another good comment. This is from episode 176, and this is talking about the basically. Temple, you were ahead of the game. Before we even went live today, you left a comment in our previous episode talking about Kyle Chandler getting cast, and you basically said after this confirmed casting for Hal, being Kyle Chandler, that is, I can confidently say that we gotta say goodbye for the greatest Green Lantern of all, Hal Jordan, considering who's gonna replace him as the main Green Lantern, along with him getting character assassination treatment, Parallax, but I hope not. So of course he's implying that Hal's
following the rumor. I don't think that's true. I just feel like that would be the dumbest decision ever to kill off Hal Jordan or have him become Parallax after one season, one mini series, whatever the fuck it's going to be. I just feel like that would be a really dumb choice. And I don't think they're going to do that because it's like, the thing is, we haven't gotten Hal Jordan in live action since 2011. And that pretty much shit the bed for any live action adaptations for a while. So like, why would you have him come back for one season and then just immediately kill him off? Like, we've wanted to see Green Lantern on like in live action for so long, and you're just immediately going to kill him off after one season. That's ridiculous. So I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah. By the way, that's a good question. What do you think about the Temple's follow-up question? That how do you think they're going to do Talons?
You could still be brainwashed. Talons? I mean, there's a grounded. Brainwashing is pretty easy to. No, I wouldn't say easy to do. Forget I said that. In terms of like brainwashing, it's not like you need like some weird kind of machine. Like you could just like do like certain things to like brainwash someone. So I don't think they're gonna like do anything crazy. But it's just like, you could just do like hired hitman type shit. So that could work. I feel like that could work. But nothing too crazy. So
sorry, I was muted there, but yes, we will get into that. I think we're still too early to get into that. The second movie is where they're gonna get into the idea, even that, and of course I put this up. Of course, they've done the Talons. Well, not something to that effect, and with the Winter Soldier and the brainwashing in Marvel. If you're looking for a more grounded take on it, I think that's a good reference for how they can go about doing it, based on like what's actually possible in the real world. But here's the last comment of the day, guys, as we wrap things up. This is also from episode 176, our previous episode. J. Kell saying Kelvin Harrison at 5'7" is too short to play a convincing John Stewart in his opinion. John Stewart has always been presented as a physically imposing ex-Marine. Kelvin is a great actor. I absolutely loved him in Chevalier, but he doesn't give me John Stewart vibes at all. John, what do you think? I mean, especially now knowing
why
that
you gotta shit
Chandler...
on short kings, man? What's wrong with being 5'7"? All right, fuck you, man. Like, you can be physically imposing and be 5'7". All right, like just because you're not like fucking 6'5" doesn't mean he can't be physical. And plus, it would add into the portrayal that they're like. I feel like they're going for, which is more, like naive and hotheaded. And I feel like. Short people have that energy. Have you met a short girl? 5'2", those bitches are fucking insane. So, like, you know what? Short people can have a lot of anger behind them. Got that Napoleon complex. Look at Tom Cruise. So, you know what? I think short would be even better. If they're going for that hothead personality, then I think that could work. And especially, I feel like his younger looking face naivete would work a little bit better. But again, Aaron Pierre wouldn't be bad. I'm just saying, in terms of who we have as Hal Jordan now, I think Kelvin would be a good shot. Would be a good John Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the talent is there. Tom Cruise has had a fantastic career, and he is really not that tall. So, I mean, I don't think there's any reason why Kelvin Harrison.
And you know what, Tom Cruise? People have said Tom Cruise they wanted him for Hal Jordan, and look at him, he's 5'7" too. So just saying.
It could work. It could work. But guys, thank you again for a fantastic show. Kyle Chandler. That was the news of the day. Kyle Chandler is now going to be starring as Hal Jordan. He's signed on for the Lantern show. He's an Emmy Award winner from his time at Friday Night Lights. He's done a ton of other things. He's been in the recent Godzilla movies. He was in the King Kong movie in 2005. He's been around a long time. You may or may not know him from anything before, but he is going to be our Hal Jordan in the new Green Lantern TV series called Lanterns. It's been greenlit as they're planning on filming from January to June of next year. So, of course, we're going to get into more of this information. We're going to continue to theorize, dive into what this means for the show and who Jon Stewart is going to be, because of course that's the next big casting that they've got to do now. James Gunn is going to be at the ComicCon in New York next month on October 19th. So we're going to cover that as well. Any announcements that come out of that. And of course, tomorrow we are back with the Oh So Curious show. We got movie reviews. We're going to talk about Marvel. We're going to talk about DC as always. Any news from the world of DC, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, and so much more. We're going to look ahead. We're going to, of course, review Transformers 1. And we're going to look ahead to Megalopolis and the Wild Robot, as well as that new George Clooney and Brad Pitt movie, Wolves, which is already in theaters, but coming to Apple TV Plus next week. So there's lots more to get into, including the Lantern story. So as always, guys, hit that like button if you haven't already. That really helps us out. And if you aren't subscribed, what are you guys doing? Hit that subscribe button. And of course, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. So until tomorrow, guys, as always, go out there, watch something DC related. Maybe go watch something that Kyle Chandler has been in to familiarize yourself with the actor, the man himself, who's going to be our new Hal Jordan. But until tomorrow, John, we'll be back here with Oh So Curious Times DCU Daily. Everybody, thank you so much for being in the chat and interacting with us. We'll see you next time on DCU Daily.